Oh, hello there. Good evening, everybody. How are you? I'm your host. I'm Kyle Reese for this Prospects After Dark on a Sunday, September 29th. Okay, we've got a couple things going on that are batshit crazy, right? So I haven't tried to do pad, and I can't tell you how long, probably a year almost. And of course, when I go to press go live on StreamYard, my home internet explodes. If there is such thing as a universe telling you to do something, which I do not believe there is, then it was telling me not to go live. But here we are. We're going live. Welcome to Prospects After Dark. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Prospects After Dark on Sunday, September 29th. I am your host. I'm Kyle Reese. I am out of practice, but we're going to make this thing happen anyways. Look, today was the last day of the Cardinals 2024 season. I'm going to do that a couple times because I have no idea what year it is, what concept time it is. And we're going to spend a little time reviewing what happened. We're going to talk about the future. Look, the Cardinals have a big press conference tomorrow at 2. Probably be better off doing this tomorrow as opposed to tonight. Maybe we'll get hammered and do it again tomorrow night. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I thought that this would give us a chance to kind of talk over maybe the direction the Cardinals are going in, as well as, reflect, reminisce, and move on from what the 2024 season was. First off, again, thank you everybody for being in here. I hope my internet stays doing what my internet does. I can't say for sure that it will. It seems like, hold on, let me do some retweeting real quick. We are live. Come meet me at the Mutual with Ellen and Daniel. We'll talk about the Cardinals all night long. We'll talk to Tim on the rest about the team that we love best. Welcome to Meet Me at Mutual. Hi, Kyle. Just took out a mortgage and put it on the 2030 Cardinals winning the World Series. Do you approve? Yeah, look, no one likes throwing money away like I do. I can promise you that I will continue to support all of everybody's poorly thought out financial endeavors. I know I wouldn't bet on anyone ever to win the World Series that far away, but hey, Cardinals might be heading in the right direction. The Redbird Farmhand says, "What's up, Kyle?" Hello, the Redbird Farmhand. How are you? I like that. It's a beautiful looking tractor you got there. Looks like it's about 700 years old, and I can guarantee, one thing we know about farm equipment, about equipment, is that if it's maintained, that old stuff will last. New stuff is bullshit. Bradley Bowling says, "When's this start?" About 10 minutes later than it should have. Redbird Farmhand says his internet went down, so it might be a few minutes. Yeah, sorry about that, everyone. Ikta, welcome. Kyle Eden says his system was just a surprise that there being a pad that it crapped itself. Yeah, I think so. Brad Bowling got his answer. Cardinals fan 0213 says, "Yo, what's up, Cardinals fan 0213?" Bradley Bowling says it's going to be a long winter, promising young talent. Hopefully the press conference tomorrow is good news. Doubt it. Now, I guess we'll get right into that. We have to come to terms with the fact that the direction the Cardinals are going in is promising young talent. And granted, Nolan Gorman and Jordan Walker, they haven't panned out the way that the Cardinals wanted or fans have wanted. But that's what the 2025 season is going to be. I think that every indication is telling us that. Now, of course, the news today broke that the Cardinals are listening on Sonny Gray, and they should. They should listen to offers on anybody who makes money. Sonny Gray, Wilson Contreras, maybe some team in Japan will pay you to send them Miles Michaelis. You just never know. We might get lucky, we might not. But so yeah, like that's what we're gonna have to come to terms with. You're going to be hearing about the Cardinals fielding offers on all of their guys who make money, with the chance of spending the next 2 years or so getting themselves into winning contention. Because right now they're not. With these people, with the people that make money, Gray, Contreras, Arenado, Michaelis, they aren't in contention. And they haven't been for a couple of years now. So it would make sense that to listen for offers on these guys. Sonny Gray's been awesome. I would suspect that it's going to take quite a haul to get him. But everybody else you listen on, and the Cardinals would do themselves well to do. And hopefully that's the case. But yeah, look, tomorrow's news conference seems pretty straightforward to me. Mo's probably going to start talking about his secession plan. We'll probably start getting a more defined role of what Chaim Bloom's role is moving forward and what it's going to be. The lovely and talented Katie Wu did an amazing job reporting over at The Athletic over the weekend about some of the dysfunction in the development system, as well as what Chaim Bloom's role is and what the Cardinals' role might be moving forward. So that's what tomorrow's going to be. It's going to be the first step of the future. I'm sure we'll be talking about it on and off all night, but look, I don't know if it's going to be a long winter, but it's going to be a different winter. More than likely, next season is going to be a long season. But if you're going to buy into the future, then you have to be willing to buy into some of the young talent. I think it's good. Again, I'm already ranting on one question. I think it's good that you have people like Lars Nootbaar and Brendan Donovan as like bridge players, right? Because I think that, look, I'm one of these people that I love Wilson Contreras. Sonny Gray, I think losing Sonny Gray would be hard, but like, I think you could trade Wilson Contreras and be fine. I hate to be that way because I freaking love the guy. You know, I think you could trade Nolan Arenado and be fine. Like, what has he been for the last year and a half, other than a detriment, really? He showed signs in the second half, but, you know, kind of fell off again. So, yeah, look, I think you can actually still contend in 20 wild card contend, which we know that that's a bullshit term anyways, but you can still contend in 2025 and make subtractions while angling to the future. I think step number one is you got to fire Turner Ward. But that's just me. I think you need somebody in, like, if you're going to bring in the kids, and sure, it'd be hard to hire somebody for 1 year while the transition year happens. But if you're going to if you're going to turn the reins over to the kids, Turner Ward's not your guy. He didn't help the kids. He didn't help the veterans. Time to move on from him. Ikta says the first step, recognizing the problem. Yeah, the first step is always recognize the problem. Our good friend Shelton Mysterio says, yeah, glad they admitted there was a problem. You know, it's funny. I was talking to a friend of mine today on the phone, and he brought up a good point, that it's interesting to see everybody like really anxious and really excited and kind of like really super pissed off with all of the news happening. And I feel the opposite. Like, I'm excited about this. Everybody who's bitched about Mo over the last X amount of years, this is the first step of saying goodbye to Mo with a succession plan in place. Also, if you've been like me and you've bitched and whined about the player development side of the team, then you know what? Nothing but positives there, because Chaim Bloom is going to bring in somebody that's going to revolutionize the way things are done. Look, Grandpa Gary's gone. That's a positive. These are all positives headed in the right direction. You just gotta kind of take it step by step and not be reactionary and see where things go. Kyle Eden says, the problem is a cheap owner who thinks he can't afford to do two things at once, fix the minors and compete at the major league level. Yeah, I think that was one of the things that Katie kind of brought into it, is that Mo felt like he had to put more money into the major league product and at the cost of what's going on in the minors. And I was having another conversation, and it dawned on me, you know, like while you're thinking about it, and you know, maybe some rumors that you hear here and there. It's that if you had somebody like Gary LaRocque running the minors, you too probably wouldn't put a whole lot of money into the minors. If you were an old archaic system, and if you're in charge of that, but the owner has connections with Gary and you can't fire Gary, then it doesn't make sense to give him more resources, because he's not particularly good. He doesn't do anything, and he's not going to allocate those resources right. So if you're trying to field a team at the major league level that has a chance to contend, then it makes more sense to pump money into that. But you know, again, as we start talking about what's next for the St. Louis Cardinals, this is the positive. This is exactly what we hope that they would do. They would move on. They would move in a positive, more modern direction, and at the same time reevaluate how they're teaching the basics. So, yeah, it's again, ownership is its own set of problems. I'm worried about with ownership again is I think that Bill DeWitt III has to prove that he's willing to spend once he takes over. And I don't think he is. I think he's just worried about the bottom line. So that's going to be an issue. Like, if people thought they had trouble with how Bill DeWitt the second had, you know, spent his money, wait till you see how Prince Bill the Third spends his. All right, before we get too far, it's important that we start talking about booze. Tonight, I am drinking a Michelob Golden Light because I am parched. To all the pad people, welcome back to Prospects After Dark on a Sunday night. The other thing we have is water. We won't be drinking much of that. And then I have a one of these pre-made Crown Royal whiskey and colas. They're like 7%. They're fine. It's okay. But to all the pad people, welcome to Pad. Jordan Hilton says, hi, Kyle. Are Gersh and Yadier Molina's jobs at risk? Well, I don't know what kind of job Yadier Molina has. I think he mostly just kind of stayed where he came from and didn't give a shit about what was going on here. He has a lot of personal things to deal with, apparently. I don't know any of them. It's none of my business. As far as Mike Gersh goes, I don't know what to think. I would suspect that in the immediate future, there isn't going to be much in the way of like that type of turnover. I think you'll start seeing coaches added at the minor league, instructors added at the minor league. I just don't think it's going to happen with Gersh right away. More than likely, you're talking about next year with Gersh. But hey, maybe that's part of the news tomorrow. It could be Michael Gersh has been let go. I hope not. Look, Gersh is a good guy. I always feel sorry for that guy because he's pigeonholed by fans into being the coffee runner. When Mo took over as president of baseball operations, part of that was he was supposed to start focusing on modernizing everything, how to be at the cutting edge of the baseball world. And Michael Gersh was supposed to take over those duties as general manager. And then when COVID came in, Mo couldn't give the reins up. And plus, Mo's very particular about how he talks to the media. We know all this, and Gersh is a little bit more free-flowing. So because of that, Michael Gersh kind of got buried, and that sucks because he's really good at his job. And the reason I know that is from people who know him, who talk about him. He's a baseball guy. I don't want Michael Gersh to get fired. I would have actually liked to have seen him get a chance at a larger role with the organization, but hopefully he gets an opportunity somewhere to show that the Cardinals and Mo were wrong for not giving him more of a leash. Kyle. Hello, Kyle. Shelton Mysterio. Kyle Eden. It's nice to see you. Hey, man, this is Card Fan B. What's up, Bradley Bowling? Card Fan B, welcome. Ikta says, yo, Kyle, what the fuck is Pat? Hello, Aaron Johnson. How are you, buddy? Caleb Noble, our good friend, says it wouldn't be Pat without a delayed start. Welcome back, Kyle. Thank you very much, Caleb. We love that Hard 9 podcast. The 96 Drummer Boy says, what's up, Kyle? Oh, hey, what's up, Christian? Oh, that's a cool picture. I like that, Christian. Thanks for indulging my bullshit earlier. Hey, look. So here's the thing, right? So not to get into details about the DMs that Christian and I were having, but it stemmed from the baseline question, is this going to be a rebuild? And it's not going to be a rebuild. Again, the word that we all need to get used to is reset. It is a reset. And it's going to be a lot like what the St. Louis Blues did for the last couple of years. They'll trade off some of their older players, some of their contracts. You might not be able to win a World Series or even get to the playoffs, but you'll be still competitive because you need to find out what your high-level prospects are in Jordan Walker, not prospects, your high-level young major leaguers in Jordan Walker and Nolan Gorman, when given a chance to just play without having to worry about the pressure of contending. You need to see what they are. You need to see what Michael McGreevy is, if he can continue, if Andre Plante can continue, if Zach Thompson can be that thing. So the next year is going to be a transition year trying to figure that out. Maybe Sonny Gray will be here, maybe he won't. Maybe Wilson Contreras will be here, maybe they won't. But if they're moved, it'll be with the intent to get prospects that can help out in the next couple of years. Thomas said JC getting a run. If Contreras goes, it'll be Herrera and Pages with the two most underrated prospects in all of minor leagues, Leonardo Bernal and Jimmy Crooks, getting a chance in the next couple of years. So Christian and I were talking about that. Christian, just like many fans, are frustrated. They want to watch their St. Louis Cardinals be a very competitive team, and they haven't been. And everybody's really frustrated about that. So I totally understand. And hopefully, once we all accept that 2025 is probably going to be a bridge year to whatever comes next, not just with the front office, but with the product on the field. Once we all start understanding that we probably have to start watching the major league club like we watch the minors, where we're watching for development, we're watching for people doing things right and taking positive steps forward, then we can start talking about what 2026 looks like and beyond. But step number one in this reset is that some of these veterans might get traded. Paul Goldschmidt isn't going to come back because there's no reason to bring him back, and see where it goes from there. Trevor Arnold says, please tell me Ivan Herrera is going to become the new first baseman. No, that's stupid. No. We don't want Ivan Herrera as a first baseman. We want Ivan Herrera to get stronger behind the plate, more accurate with his arm, and we want him to be the everyday catcher. That's what we want. I don't want anybody learning a new position. I don't want Jordan Walker learning first base. I don't want him going back to third. Jordan Walker made huge strides in the minor leagues this year in the outfield, in right field. And you know what? When he came up to the majors, it didn't always show. He was not the same outfielder in the majors as he was in the minors. It's because reads are different. The ball comes off the bat at a different velocity. It's a whole thing. We want Alec Burleson playing first base every day because Alec Burleson is a first baseman. He did it quite often at ECU. By the way, ECU, baby, ECU. That's my NCAA football franchise. So I bought the shirt because I'm a douchebag. But yeah, so put Burley at first. That's fine. And then Luke and Baker can play first and be that bat off the bench, that right-handed bat off the bench. Hey, we did it. Look at that. That's one problem solved. And you know what? You're probably going to get production similar to what you got for Paul Goldschmidt for pennies on the dollar. So you're kind of washed there. Let Jordan Walker play right. He'll get there. I can promise you, because I've seen it at the minor league level. He's always going to struggle to go into the gap the right center field gap. But you know what? That's just part of it. It's a tough area to field. Keep Herrera at center or at catcher at center. Keep Herrera at catcher and teach him how to throw. Because in the minors, his accuracy was not as bad as what we're seeing at the majors. He's just rushing himself. There's a mechanical thing. Get that arm stronger, and you'll reap the benefits. So I'm not big on that, but maybe somewhere down the line, yeah, just not right now. It doesn't make any sense. Shelter Mysterious says, gonna miss Goldschmidt, but it was time to move on. Yeah, I'm going to raise our whiskey and cola to Paul Goldschmidt, right? I know a lot of people are upset about Paul Goldschmidt leaving the St. Louis Cardinals. I am not. I am happy that we got to see some incredible first base and some incredible at-bats from someone like Paul Goldschmidt. What I am is I'm sad that he played like shit for 2/3 of the year. He played like total dog shit. And because of that, the Cardinals weren't particularly good. Same thing with Nolan Arenado. So, but I am grateful that we got to watch Paul Goldschmidt play because he was fucking awesome when he was good. So to Paul Goldschmidt, we raise our boos. Oh, I'm going to need a third drink tonight, aren't I? Jeff Niehaus on 3 consecutive posts, 3, 4 maybe? It's a pickle that seems to be sweating is what it is. No, I'm pretty sure that means that his Gershons is coming all over the place. Jeff, I'm proud tonight that I could get you to climax, baby. I want everybody in here climaxing. Look, the thing says that there's 90 people in here, and if all of you aren't climaxing at once, then what kind of country are we living in, okay? Or world are we living in? Everybody come for me, baby. Christian says, what was the biggest surprise this year for the Cardinals? Who was the biggest surprise this year for the Cardinals? Well, I think most people would agree that Mason Wynn being as good offensively and defensively as he has been was a bit of a surprise. Maybe not to all of us, but to some of us, I think that was big. I think, granted, he had a tough year, but I think Alec Burleson pretty much proving that he can be some variation of an everyday-ish player. I think that's huge. At the end of the year here, what Michael McGreevy's done, McGreevy started working a little bit more with Dusty Blake, and now he has a cutter, and now he's a major league pitcher to whatever degree that is. I can't say, I think somewhere along the lines, I mentioned that McGreevy reminded me of if Dakota had Hudson and Luke Weaver had a baby. So, there's a major league arm in there, and maybe he's an innings eater. He's going to be a ground ball machine. We know that. If he continues to develop, maybe he's more than that, but I think as we look, between Andre Palante and the happenings of Michael McGreevy, I think there were some things to be happy about. Brendan Donovan coming back, it took him a little while to get his legs underneath him, and getting healthy and being kind of a force. Again, Wilson Contreras, we don't know what that means, what it looks like moving forward, but the role that Wilson Contreras played was awesome for the St. Louis Cardinals when he was healthy. There were a lot of positives. It's just, for the first month and a half of the year, the Cardinals couldn't hit, and they dug themselves a hole, and that was it. Another positive is the bullpen. Everybody in the bullpen pretty well performed amazing. Ryan Helsley, the year Ryan Helsley had, amazing, beautiful. There were a lot of positives. Big surprises. It has to be the what Andre Palante has become. I think that's probably the biggest surprise for me. And of course that the roster was as shitty as it was for as long as it was. Dan Goki says, sexy. You're damn right, Dan Goki. Kyle Eden says, you are too, my baby. I don't know what you look like, but I bet you fine, girl. Kyle Eden says, which guys on the current MLB or AAA roster do you predict is still on the team in 2026? Look, I think ideally everything goes well in development, right? So that would mean that you're, again, ideally, in the ideal situation, you're talking about Palante, McGreevy, Graceffo, Matthews. You're talking about Herrera and Pajes. You're talking about Victor Scott. You're talking about Nolan Gorman, Jordan Walker, Lars Nootbaar, Brendan Donovan, and, maybe some relievers here and there that I'm just not thinking of. And that's a start, again, without having a piece of paper and writing things down and looking at rosters, I can't say, but I think ideally a lot of these guys either keep their status quo or continue to get better next year, especially the bats. And that puts the Cardinals in a position where in 2026, they have something to build on. I think ideally that's what they would want. And again, if you start to get positive signs of development from some of those pitchers, and if Palante keeps up and McGreevy keeps up, and, Quinn Matthews finds his full season, and yeah, look, I think that this is a real chance that it's in 2 years, a lot of the same guys who are on the roster now are still on the roster, but have taken steps forward. Again, that's going to be the job of the coaching staff, and that's why it shouldn't be Turner Ward. Nick Weisner says Helsley could bring a massive haul this offseason. Now, let me tell you my hot take about Ryan Helsley. So you all know for a really long time I've wanted Ryan Helsley to be a starter. So the Cardinals have two options. They can either trade him or they can make him a starter. Now, I don't necessarily know. They're not going to make him a starter. We can give up on that. I just don't. It's not. It would be pointless, right? Especially if your winning window doesn't start until 2026 at the very, 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 very earliest. So you have to trade him. But trust me, if he would have been given a chance to start at any point over the last couple of years, he'd be the Cardinals' best starter. And it's frustrating that we didn't get to see that. As far as a massive haul this offseason, I don't know what that means. I go back and forth with this. Some team definitely will overpay for 1 year of one of the league's best closers. No doubt about that. But if you're the Cardinals, right, you're not looking for like the most talented down minor league, down farm system talent. You want guys who are pretty close. So you're not going to settle for anything less than somebody who you know is going to start at the major league level. So I keep hearing massive haul. And for me, give me the 1-1 for a prospect at AAA, a pitching prospect at AAA who might have already touched the majors, who has major league potential as a starter, who might have shown that he can do it. Now, I don't have anybody in mind, like just for one name, like Hayden Birdsong, right? Maybe Hayden Birdsong and some other down roster would get it done. I don't know if I'd even do the Birdsong thing, but I'm just saying, like, something like that. That's what I would want. That's not a massive haul. That's actually an appropriate haul for something like that. Now, again, if you're stacking prospects on top of prospects and you're getting low A prospects and high A prospects and kids in their teens, yeah, maybe you get a haul as dictated by prospect rankings, but just get the right prospects, and maybe even the right. Hello, are we back? Guys, I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm sorry about that. That was not my thing. Will somebody tell me if we are back on? I really don't know what's going on with my internet. It just like keeps dropping out. All right, cool. We back. Sorry, guys. We'll try to get back to the massive haul. Oh boy, I'm way behind. Again, one more time. I just want to apologize for the technical inconveniences we're having. I really have never had this issue with my internet ever. Maybe we aren't supposed to be doing this. All right, so yes, send Michaelis anywhere that is foolish enough to take him from Shelton Mysterio. I agree. Will anyone want Arenado? Yeah. So again, a conversation I was having earlier with a friend of mine. I think with Arenado, right, it just comes down to are the Dodgers willing to trade for him? Because he's not going to remove his no trade clause to go anywhere except for wherever the hell he wants to go, right? And then at that point, it's just a matter of like he's going to get to choose, and that team that he chooses, are they willing to give up to make it happen? Because honestly, that's the only way you make the trade. And it just, like the Dodgers make the most sense. If they get bounced early or something, maybe they do it. But look, he's only going to go where he wants to go, and that's the toughest part about it. And then from there, you're handcuffed just like the Rockies were before you got him, when you got him from the Rockies. So it's all in Arenado's spot. Like I think he likes it here. I think he'd want to stay here, but he wants to win. Same thing with Contreras and Gray. So I think that there's going to be very few teams that would be interested in taking him at his price, if not zero teams. And it's just a matter of if one team like the Dodgers, where he would fit in and feel like he fits in, would be willing to make it happen at the Cardinals price. Big Ol' Buck says, okay, I'm naked. Mo needs to just step down now and let's get this party started. Yeah. Again, so I'm heartbroken about this, right? So this is, I'm caught in the middle of the Mosaic thing because I don't think its tenure has been as bad as everyone else does, but I also have perspective about like what it takes to be good in baseball. I mean, there was a stat today about the Orioles. This is the first time the Orioles had back-to-back 90-win seasons since 82, 83. And that's a good franchise. You know, sure, ownership's been weird. Again, ownership's been weird, right? A lot of this always boils down to ownership. But yeah, look, I'm ready for the next step. And if that means Mo has to go, then Mo has to go. But Mo's been awesome to me, and I actually respect the guy a lot. Snips127 says, if they actually upgrade minor league teams, as someone who lives in Florida, I'd make the drive to Jupiter more often. Good. Hopefully somebody's watching and listening and agree. But I agree with you. I think that if the minor league complexes were updated just a little bit on the Cardinals' dime, which they won't be because that's a whole thing, but I think that would be a huge draw for a lot of fans. Dan Goki says, I was convinced whomever we took at 7 this year was eventually going to replace Arenado. How would you handicap the next 2 years of third base if we get rid of Arenado? My guess would be that some combination of Donovan or Sajasi ends up taking over third base as a temporary until 2026 comes around. The easiest way to make Donovan work is to make him the third baseman and just let Nolan Gorman run with second base, as down as his year has been. And then you can use Sajasi as your utility player. Hopefully Sajasi gets some time down in the minors or down in the out. Hopefully Sajasi gets some time in the outfield in the Arizona Fall League. But that's probably what I would do. Again, I don't think I'd move Gorman over there. I don't think I'd move Walker over there, even though those are the positions. Just let those guys be what they are now and just focus on hitting, because that's the most important thing with both of them. Yeah, Ward has to go. I think we all agree Turner Warner has to go. Smitty says, Kyle, do we trust DeWitts to keep their hands off the personnel decisions moving forward? In other words, will they fully entrust Heim? I would think so. I also think after what Heim has been through, I don't think Heim's going to enter a situation where the owner makes him do things. Now, it might be, hey, Heim, you have to cut payroll. And then at that point, that's on him. But my hope is that Heim is only willing to take this role if he knows that he's in control. That's my hope. Again, I don't know what kind of role Bill DeWitt III is going to have when he eventually fully takes over for Bill DeWitt II. But, hopefully he stays the fuck out of it, because as long as he's writing checks that are reasonably priced, he should stay out of it. Jonathan Barra says, Nolan was still a league average hitter and an elite defender. I think people overstate how bad he was. Yeah, okay, so I can't argue with that. I will say, I know they say an elite defender. I did not see elite defense this year. Again, it's all about the eye test. Stats bear out, but for the first half of the year, for the first 2 months of the year, maybe half of the year, he was trash over there. He was still making poor mental mistakes. He even talked about it earlier in the year. It's nice to see him get healthy with the back and perform, find that capability. I know he's happy with where his defense is. That's a positive. But again, with Nolan, right? Same thing with Arenado or with Goldschmidt. for getting himself back up to being a league average. But that's not enough. That's not going to be good enough. You need more. They're going to need more from him. And he wants to go someplace where they're going to be competitive, and they're probably not going to be competitive. So still, I don't think at his price tag, anybody is going to be willing to trade for him at a premium price. Tony Forsalito says, I am also throwing a press conference tomorrow at 2. Kyle gets the first question. All right, I'll be there, Tony Forsalito. To you, I raise my glass. What do you think it'll cost the Cardinals to revamp their minor league system from Trevor Arnold? I can't imagine, right? In my mind, like, if you're going to install modern technology into all of those stadiums, then it's probably $10 to $15 million, I would think, up front. And then to bring people in, probably $2 to $5 million on contracts. So an upfront cost of $15 million just on the high end, and then an annual cost of $2 to $5 million, if not more than that. But, it's all about the instructors, how many people they're going to bring in. But total guess and shot in the dark. I really don't know. Ikta says, I'm excited for the future, but also pissed that Mo doubled down like 4 or 5 times. Yeah, I think that's really where all the consternation, all the anger with Mo comes in. That's a really well stated point. Waiterate says, I'm excited. I buy into too many pitchers who spent this summer in Palm Beach. Young bats have to perform to project. Glances at Mr. Ward. Super interested in what's to come. Go Cardinals. Yeah, look, a lot of those young arms for Palm Beach are really, really exciting. And I'm sure we'll get into that. But, I mean, some of the relief arms, super exciting. The starters, super exciting. I really, like, we've talked about it. Blake's talked about it. Kareem's talked about it. All of those arms, Luis Gaston, like, there are just so many good, interesting arms with interesting characteristics at Palm Beach this year. So hopefully Peoria gets to reap those rewards. Tony's the best. Cardinals fan 0213 says, has anything about McGreevy changed on how you view him going forward? Yeah, look, so the sinker slider combo is why I was always like, oh, this guy's going to be Matt Bowman. Like, he's going to be a super reliable innings eating relief pitcher. And for a couple of years before his arm tanks because of how reliable he is. But that cutter kind of changes the whole story with him. Now, again, I'm not going to say he's a front end or even a middle of rotation. He has a chance to be an inning eater who keeps the ball on the ground. But what he's been able to do specifically with that cutter changes kind of what he's capable of as far as I'm concerned. So, yeah, look, if it's any juxtaposition worth talking about specifically with McGreevy, I did not care if I ever saw him pitch at the major league level. And now at the end of the year, I was clamoring for him to get more starts because he's earned it and he's deserved it. So good on Michael McGreevy. Our good friend Adam Butler says it's an Urban Chestnut O-Cats night. Oh man, I've had so many Oktoberfest so far already. I love Oktoberfest. I have some in my fridge, but I didn't want to drink them. I'm going to bring some to one of my guys at work tomorrow. But yeah, so to O-Cats, to Urban Chestnut, we raise our, I'm doing the Crown Royal mixed drink thing. Waiterate says, though, I'm not super excited for what Dewey the Third might bring. Yeah, I hope that Cardinals fans, and now I guess I have to take a step back. Some of my concerns with Build-A-With the Third stem from the fact that other nepotism inherited owners are fucking terrible. They're shitty. They're the worst. So that plays into it. And also his comments are tone deaf quite often. It doesn't package it particularly well, and he doesn't even pretend like he really cares about how he packages it. And he's a business first guy. So again, he has to kind of earn some respect from us. That his dad, like, he doesn't inherit that respect from his dad earned, at least not in my book. Eric Bishop says Bloom's work so far seems to be good. I saw their minor leagues pitching is ranked 3rd or whatever now. So would love to see him fully take over and see what he does. Now that's a really good point. I'm not going to go into like the rankings. I do think that if the pitchers can stay healthy between Roby and Jerpy, and hence specifically the big 3 of injury-riddled mania, I do think that they have some really high-end starting pitching prospects or just pitching prospects. But it's guys like Bryson Mounts, right? Like, Bryson Mounts was pretty shit all year, and then when he started adopting kind of what Bloom and Bloom's crew was pushing, not Tim Levesque. Tim Levesque needs to give up on that. Again, that's another guy who could lose his job and everybody would be fine. He's a really awesome guy from what I understand, but Godspeed, Tim. That's when we started to see Bryson Mounts take some steps forwards at the end of the year. Now, I've always viewed Bryson Mounts as a reliever. We've seen him be really good in one-inning stints in spring training, which doesn't mean anything, but that's a major league potential arm right there that we'll get to see in the Arizona Fall League and see how he's developing and adjusting. Maybe we'll get to see him max out a little bit in short innings and see what the velocity looks like. But yeah, I'm anxious to see. I'm anxious to see what some of the steps some of these pitchers take. Goldie, give Goldie the qualifying offer. No, Brian Feldman. I'm sorry. No, there's no way I'd give Goldie the qualifying offer. More than likely, you'd be stuck with him at $21 million a year or whatever it is. Nobody's going to give you a draft pick for that. There's just no way. Even with the strong finish, there's just no way. You have a better chance of being hamstrung at $21 million when you're trying to cut than anything else. I hate to say that, but more than likely, a team will just wait to sign him until after the deadline. Yeah, I would not give him the qualifying offer. That's a good way to get yourself trapped into $20+ million. Jeff Niehaus says, trying to finish off my 34.99 1.75 liter Evan Williams bottled in bond. It's pretty good though. I really like the Evan Williams mixed. I like that as my mixer. That's a good call, Jeff Niehaus. Enjoy. Again, to you, since it's a whiskey thing, I'll raise my whiskey thing. Guys, I do not feel like I'm entertaining tonight. I am sorry. It's been a long time since I've done this. Cardinals fan 0213 says, it's going to suck seeing the Cardinals have to trade all these guys, especially Helsley. You got to think Helsley is high on the Cardinals trade list. Yeah, it sucks, right? It absolutely sucks. Especially because some of these guys are going to move are players that have brought quite a bit of excitement, right? Sonny Gray was, again, everybody has their varying opinions on Sonny Gray, but Sonny Gray was pretty good all year. He was pretty shitty when they got good, and that sucked. But Sonny Gray's he's been fun to watch all year. He took my holes and he made them his own. Arenado, when he's good, is exciting and it's a lot of fun. And I respect Nolan Arenado quite a bit. Hopefully he's healthy. Hopefully, I think more than likely he's a Cardinal, but we'll see. And then Wilson Contreras is a blast to watch. I would be sad to see him go, but that seems to be what's going to happen. So we'll see. Crown Royal with cheese, Dan Goki says. Hey, Kareem. Hello, Kareem. How are you, Kareem? I'm going to use you as an excuse to get myself a drink of water real fast. I love you, Kareem. Thanks for being in here. Brett Stillman says, I'm late, so feel free to ignore me. Trading Sonny Gray feels really dumb and cheap. I think if you do it, it's all about timing, right? It's all about if you can find the right haul for him. I think unloading him is dumb and cheap. But I think if some team loses their goddamn mind and is willing to trade a haul of close to major league ready players for him, then you have to listen, especially because he makes $35 million, which would be the cheap part of it. But because 2025 looks to be a bit of a reset year. So again, it's just all about what they are willing, what their puke point in trade is. Because if they're just dumping him to dump him, then yeah, it's dumb and cheap. But if you really think that you can get better in the very short-term future by doing it, then maybe it's not the worst thing to do. Trevor Arnold says JJ Weatherholt and Chase Davis getting actual coaching to help them develop sounds fantastic. No, I want to say this. I am not one of these people who think I think rather that the hitting development at the minor league level has been pretty good. I think Russ Steinhorn and his staff do pretty good. Look, Chase Davis had a rough go of it to start the year, and they helped get Chase Davis back in line. I don't think the minor league development of hitters is particularly bad. I think Russ and his crew do a really good job. I do think that there is a major league preparedness issue with some of those prospects when they get to the major league level. And to me, that's not necessarily major league preparedness is it's a poor choice of words, because what I think it is I think it's the major league club does a poor job to get those kids major league prepared when they are in the majors. That's the guys like the advanced college bats, Lars Nootbaar, Brendan Donovan, Alec Burleson, that we've seen have continued sustained success. Guys who have been through the college grind, guys who know themselves better than a lot of high school drafted players, a lot of prep players. So I think that that's the big key, right? I think it's just getting them to a place where they can get to the major leagues and be comfortable. And I think it's tough to get to the major leagues and be comfortable when you know more about the art of hitting than the hitting coach does. Now, that's nothing against Brandon Allen, who is a really good assistant hitting coach. It's just that when your assistant hitting coach and your hitting coach are basically the same person, just in a different body, I don't think it helps them. Like Daniel Nicolaisian last year should have probably had a larger role than what he had before he went to and coached for Arkansas. But they need to modernize, and that includes a major league coaching staff, so that when guys like Chase Davis and JJ Weatherholt and Gorman and Walker get to the majors, they are on a level playing field from the get-go. The Redbird farmhand says, should we read anything into Koperniak playing for Albert in the DR? Maybe not. I mean, I think that there's a chance, just like with the guys who are at the Arizona Fall League, they're just getting a chance to like showcase. And maybe that's part of it. Maybe it isn't. But hey, look, it could be. You know, we've heard tale of Yadier Molina being part of the reason why Wilking Rodriguez signed with the Cardinals. It could happen. Z-Ed Shecky ZX says, hi, Kyle. I am so happy to have a pad tonight. To you, my friend, for always encouraging me to do it. It's a pleasure to have you here. Now, again, we dropped out. Hold on, beer. We dropped out for like 5 minutes, but according to this thing, this question was at 7:22. It is currently 7:50. I'm going to try to fly through some questions. Josh Jacob says, assuming some rotation spots are open, which arms would you prioritize MLB time in early 25? How soon do you turn to guys like Quinn, Tink, etc.? I think it just depends on, for me, it just depends on how you make it out of the offseason, right? Like for me, I would go into next year allowing all of those guys a chance at the major league roster, because at that point I would have sent Miles Mikolas to Saturn and move somewhere else. But again, at the same time, I'm also kind of, hey, we're back. Sorry about that, man. I really don't know what's going to go on. I feel bad about this. But yeah, look, I would be willing to turn it over to any of those prospects when given the opportunity in 2025. Look, if 2025 is about finding out what you have in the young players, and make it about finding out what you have in the young players. Cardinals fan 0213 says, are we overthinking what this presser will be? A lot of people are thinking Mo is going to, no, Mo isn't going to resign. At least I don't think so. And you know what? It's okay if he doesn't, right? Let him finish out that last year in his contract. If he's going to stay completely in control, then yeah, that's an issue. But I don't have an issue with Mo sticking around for 1 year. We shouldn't have an issue with him sticking around for 1 year. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. There's nothing wrong with having a bridge guy there. I think more than likely, again, we're going to go over the state of the franchise, what we've had, what we've got to, where we're moving forward. There'll probably be some, here's Chaim Bloom. This is the role he's going to have moving forward. This is what we're going to expect out of him. And then answering some tough questions, hopefully all directed at Chaim if Chaim is there. You know, get a feel for what's to come. It's a press conference to get a feel for what's to come. Matt Stromer says, thought Chase Davis was a slam dunk to play in the AFL. Yeah, I think a lot of us did. I think it's a bummer that he's not. I think it's to see Nathan Church go there instead of him is a heartbreaking thing. Jordan Hilton says, will Tekoa Roby, Sam Reversa, Drew Rom, and Adam Kloffenstein make any noise next year? Yeah, look, I don't know when Drew Rom's going to be ready to come back. I can't say. He's not going to make noise because he's not particularly good. But look, Kloffenstein, when Kloffenstein started incorporating his that big sweeper, he became a major league option, and that's something we need to keep in mind. I don't know if it's going to be as a starter. I doubt it, but there's a relief pitch there at the very least. And I don't know what to think about Sem Robersa. I think Sem, it's something we've talked about a lot. Sem's going to have to work on a sinker or another pitch to work off of his fastball and his off-speed stuff. But and Tekoa Roby, look, I would hope that Tekoa gets himself in a position where he's healthy enough to help the major league club, whether it be in a relief role as a starter. More than likely at this point, if I had to bank, I'd say a relief role, but he does have the potential to be a starter. He also still needs to work on something to keep lefties off of his fastball. But yeah, look, I hope all four of those guys, well, I could give a fuck about Drew Rom, honestly, but I hope 3 of the 4 of those guys get major league time next year. Hello, Kyle Gibson. Hello, Victoria. How are you? Welcome to Prospects After Dark. I hope you're doing well. I hope everybody's doing good. Caleb Noble says, I'm going to be a sad fella if their version of resetting still has Ciani playing over Scott and Pajes over Herrera. Yeah, me too, Caleb. I will say going into next year, I'll give them, everybody gets a clean slate or whatever. But look, we know what Michael Ciani is. He's a perfect depth outfielder you preferably have at the minor leagues because you have better outfielders than him. Hopefully Victor Scott II keeps incorporating that lower half, taking positive steps, refining his routes out in the outfield. And hopefully Pedro Pages learns that snatching every ball and putting it in the middle of the plate doesn't help on those borderline calls. And he can still be a backup third type catcher that he is. And Ivan Herrera continues to be Ivan Herrera, but just with a stronger and more accurate arm. Jonathan Berra says Herrera and Contreras would be an amazing catcher duo next year. Basically, I love watching both of them. So I really hope they don't trade either of them. Jonathan Berra, I completely agree. I'm right there with you. Bradley Bowling says, how soon will we see Hentz and Matthews? You know, my guess is that within the next year. With Hentz, you just don't know if he's going to be healthy. But if he is, then I would suspect by both of these guys by the midpoint, by shortly after the trade deadline of 2025, you'll see both of them if they're not already in the majors at that point. Should have let McGreevy go the distance today. I agree. Cobb HD 388. That would have been cool. Cardinals fan 0213 says, what isn't going to get enough talk is the Cardinals should give Donnie a contract extension. Dude is a very good baller. Yeah, and you know he's a leader too, and he's the kind of guy who you can like not build a team around. That's not what I mean, but he's an important cog for any type of team, a rebuilding team, a resetting team, a competing team. I would definitely like to have him around as long as possible. Our good friend Kareem said, how would you rank the Cardinals' top 3 pitching prospects? It's clear who those 3 are, but what order? I'm genuinely considering putting Jerpy 1. I would put Jerpy 1 because I'm a psychopath. But I think that any logical conversation has to have Matthews 1. And then even though for me it'd probably be Jerpy because I love the guy and I just want to see him healthy. And then it just becomes like, which of the 2 consistently unhealthy pitchers do you think would be second? And for me, it'd be Jerpy because I like Jerpy. But again, who's been healthy more? And that answer is Hentz, as crazy as that is. And I think I would probably do Matthews, Hentz, Jerpy just for that reason. But I think if you're going off talent and what they're capable of, Jerpy would still be number 1 for me, and then Matthews and Hentz. Winterade says Gorman might fit at first base given his below average poor fielding. It's of Sajasi and JJ. Yeah, I understand that. I think a lot of people think that he might be a good fit to move back to third as well. I would not be opposed to that myself. I said earlier I would, but I mean, I guess if it was a last-ditch effort. I think he's taken steps to becoming an average-ish second baseman. I just think that this year his brain melted and imploded on the inside, and we saw that on both the field and at the plate, and I think it's a shame, but I think that's what happened. I think we do this thing with first base where we just always assume that if they can play the infield at an average or below average, and they can play first base. And I don't necessarily know if that's true, right? I think what we've learned is it's a lot of the lateral movement that really gets Gorman. At third base, it's all about reacting. And he was becoming an average to above average third baseman before he got moved to second. But, at first you still have to react, but there's still a lot of movement. There's still a lot of nuance to that position. And sure, maybe he profiles best because of his bat, but I don't know. I think I just let him, again, with all these guys, I'm not in favor of position changes with any of them. If that whole the whole emphasis of 2025 is finding out what you have in the kids, because if they're learning new positions, you're not finding out what you have in them. You're finding out how they're learning new positions. Brett Stillman says, so is Wilson gone then? I don't know. I mean, I think that there's very likelihood that he's gone, but I don't know for sure. Again, let's wait till the presser tomorrow and get a better feel for what Mr. DeWitt says. Shigzy Zed says, why is there a shirt? What is this? Prospect slightly before dark? No, this is after dark. Show me them sexy nips. There you go. Oh my God. Look at there. There's your sexy nips. Oh yeah, there you go. Anything for you, Zed. Shelterman Serio said, is Gorman ultimately just a DH, or can he stick at second? I've always been a little critical of him sticking at second, even though Jose Oquendo said he'd be a gold glover there, which is crazy. But look, more than likely he's just a DH, honestly, who can sub here and there. But I'm not willing, again, I don't think we've seen the full potential of a lot of these guys. And I'm not willing to give up on anybody until we see it under a new regime. Any of the kids who are like 27 or younger. except for Jose Fermin, who's whatever. I don't care about him. He's not a real person. Waiterate says Jerpy is excellent. Are MILB umps as responsible for his woes as I've heard? Partially. Look, to a very partial degree. I've even overstated it more than I should. I probably need to back it up. But look, that plays into it. He's a monster. What happens with him is kind of similar to what happens with Sonny Gray, but in a different way. Like we see Sonny Gray like real, and he starts second guessing his pitches, and then he gets smoked. With Jerpy, he just loses it. You know, his motion is so quirky that it's easy to lose it for a short period of time. And you'll see those walks will come in bundles. It's kind of like the Lance Lynn one bad inning thing. So it's just a matter of him refining his mechanics to the point where he can really get into that excellent nature that he has. Brian Smith says, if Turner Warden is back, I'm going to be sick. Yeah, I agree. I heard I'm on Meet Me at the Usual with Ellen and Danielle this week. Daniel said that he wrote about it, and on the Discord server or something, somebody was like, well, it'd be hard to just hire somebody for 1 year if there's going to be wholesale turnover the following year, but I wouldn't care. I would still try to hire somebody and lie to them about their job stability is what I think I would do. Trevor Arnold says, what's next for Gorman? Does Sajaci put a wrench in that? Look, Thomas Sajaci showed really well in a very small sample in September, and that's good. But I think that I think it's a very wide open competition for second base. I think that it's all up for debate. You know, hopefully Thomas Sajaci put a wrench into that, but I don't think we're there yet. I don't think we're right there yet. I think we'll have a better indication this spring because obviously Nolan Gorman has to make changes. Hopefully Tommy Sajaci learn from his short stint at the majors, and he'll be making some changes too to help improve himself. Yeah, like Kareem says, I think that's part of it, but I think it's more so due to his inability to get chase outside the strike zone. That's a really good point too, Kareem. Brett Stillman says, I know, and what Kareem was talking about Jerpy. Brett Stillman says, I know it was for a starter, but I'd love an Arez Lopez type deal. That'd be awesome. Yeah, I would love that too. Again, I dropped out at some point, guys. I am sorry about that. Again, I know I keep dropping. I don't know what to go. Alexis Bainbridge says, Braves SP from Florida when pick after Davis, drawing blank on name. No. Brett Stillman says, CJ Abrams for Helsley and the Nats pay his casino tab. Yeah, Brett Stillman gets it now. Brett, I'm with you. That's how you do that. Make CJ Abrams your center fielder. Derrick Henry is so damn big to be moving that fast. Apparently, Brett Stillman is also watching football. Eric Bishop said, ha ha. I don't know if the Orioles would do it, but Helsley for Cowser would be awesome. For me, I'm not trading Helsley for anything other than a pitcher. I love Colton Cowser. He would be a huge help to the St. Louis Cardinals, but I want whatever the pitching equivalent to Colton Cowser is if I'm going to do a 1-for-1. Let's see. Cardinals Gifts ask is stream down for everyone. Sorry, Giftsy. Sorry. Eric Bishop said, could Helsley bring a legit starter back? Like, because next year, I don't know who you need. There's outfielders you want to find out. You have Arenados, J.C. Winnick, etc. What's the position? Yeah, again, it's a matter of figuring it out. Again, guys, I am sorry about this. Kyle pulled it. I'd start moving over. Yes, sir, Mr. Gifts. I'd start mooing all over the house if they landed Cowser. Appreciate everybody on patch. Brett Stillman says Mazela called into drone strike the first time I dropped. How funny, guys. Again, I am sorry about that. Brett Stillman says, R.I.P. Kyle, you died with no pants. I am wearing pants today, but I promise at some point I will take them back. Everybody said, yes, you back. Hooray. Again, guys, sorry about all this. Sorry about the dropping out. I wish it wasn't happening. Helsley for Waldrop. Oh, yeah. I mean, that'd be interesting. I'd be in for something like that, you know, especially if you can maybe get a little bit more. But, like, that's the kind of move I'm talking about, Alexis. I like where your brain is at. ShekyZX Zed says, hey, we all have performance problems when it's been a while. Oh, boy, you're telling me. I could even do it every day and I'd still have issues. Ryan Wemhoff says, so do the fans still have to eat shit per Michaelis's comments before the season started? Ryan, I'm raising my drink to you. You get beer to you. Yeah, it seems like the only person who ate shit all year was Miles Michaelis. Fuck that guy. Fucking Florida man. Eric Bishop says, Kyle, isn't there a danger of trading off too many veterans? Don't they need to have some guys there? Yeah, look, that will be the tight needle to thread, right? The head to thread. Again, you have guys who are not exactly veterans, but who are a little older that could take over some of the leadership role. But yeah, again, that's a really great point, Eric Bishop. We start talking about trading Arenado and Gray, not picking up the option on Gibson and Lynn, Contreras, and yeah, that creates a vacuum of veterans. And we know that having veterans around is important to both the Cardinals and going from having a losing record to having a winning record. Trevor Arnold says they should go ahead and extend Mason Wynn. I'd be all for it. I love that guy. And honestly, he's one of those guys that say he got hurt and ended up not being what he's capable of being. I'd still be fine with the Cardinals paying him. We need live streaming for Palm Beach. I agree. I would like to have full access Palm Beach stream when they are playing at Roger Dean. Mickey Wilburn says Nolan Gorman back to third base. Yeah, I mean, again, it's not something I would do. Not right now. I'd let him get a full run at Double-A or at second base, even though he showed it and it's frustrating and blah blah blah. But yeah, look, I get why people would want it. I don't know if it's exactly something I would do because I want these guys being where they're most comfortable for the year that they're finally going to get to show what they're capable of without the pressure of winning. Hey, Jake Wood. Jake Wood has arrived. Hello, Jake. I'm looking forward to talking it over with you on your podcast with Kareem and Blake in October, late October. It's going to be fun. GM Gersh wants to know if he's staying around. No, he wants to know what young guys do you see getting a shot in the rotation next year? Does anyone have a shot outside of McGreevy, Graceffa, and Matthews? Again, I guess it just depends on who gets traded, how many spots are available. But I think if Roberts is healthy, he would have a shot. Again, it's not – we'll see what kind of strides these guys make in the offseason. But, yeah, I would think that all of these guys might have – Robersa, Kloffenstein, Rom, depending on his health, maybe even Roby and Hentz. Maybe Rajek, but Rajic rather. All right, we're gonna try this one more time. Again, I cannot explain, or I am so goddamn sorry about this. Hold on. I am so sorry about this. Let's try that and then see if I can put that up. I am so sorry about this, you guys. I really don't know what the hell's going on with my stupid internet. I've honestly never had this issue before, and I'm concerned that it is my gifting laptop and not my porn laptop. I actually went and grabbed my porn laptop and hope that I'd be able to load it up and make this happen. Who I really feel sorry for is Cardinal Gifts, who is probably going to turn this into a podcast and might have to deal with some of this other nonsense. All right. So what I was saying a second ago, what young guys, we talked about that. Brett Stillman says Tink Hence's transition to a setup guy is going to hit like fentanyl. I love it. Mickey Wilburn says Graceffo possible candidate to be in the bullpen. Seems similar to Helsley in AAA. I understand that. Look, Ryan Helsley was a better minor league pitcher than Gordon Graceffo was. But I do think that if Gordon Graceffo can't figure out maybe some of his pitch release issues as well as fastball shape issues, I do think ultimately that's the role that Gordon Graceffo is best suited for long term. That's part of why I wanted to see Gordon Graceffo get some time in the bullpen down the stretch, but we got Kyle Lehey instead. Waiter Rate says Graceffo could throw 100 too, and his heater still wouldn't be in the same universe as Helsley in all likelihood. Yeah, exactly. That's the point. Alexis Bainbridge says, do you think any chance the Cardinals could trade Sonny Contreras, etc., but still go trade for one of Seattle's SPs or Crochet? Yeah, I mean, I guess there's still a chance. I think it just comes down to the money and all that, but yeah, almost. I mean, I guess there's always a chance depending on what it would have to take to get it. Sean Ditterline says Kareem rules. I agree. Jonathan Barra says also probably worth noting that Sonny Gray thing was said by Nightingale and he's an idiot and wrong all the time. Yeah, that's definitely part of it. I mean, I don't doubt that he has a little bit of information. You know, more than likely they're willing to listen on anyone. And he asked specifically about Gray, and they were like, yeah, we'd listen. But yeah, Christian says, fuck Mary Kill, Mose, Turner Ward, and Grandpa Gary. I've said it before, but I think I'd marry John Mozeliak. And I think I would wife Grandpa Gary. Or maybe I'd bang Grandpa Gary. I have a lot of frustration I'd like to take on Grandpa Gary. So yes, I would like to bang Grandpa Gary. I'd marry Mose, and I would easily kill Turner Ward of the group. It's so funny, you know, the only reason Turner Ward's there is because of his connection with Goldschmidt, and Goldschmidt didn't get any better with him. Eric Bishop says, speaking of Weatherhold, is he on as quick a track to the majors as they were saying at the draft? Hopefully not. No, hopefully they give him time. Like, you know, he could be. He very well could be. And again, I don't know what they were saying at the draft, but he very well could be on the Cardinals' radar come the beginning of 2026. I would prefer that they take it slow with him. There's no need to rush. Even if he's having a tremendous amount of success at AA, whether he's there all year or by the end of the year, I would like for them to treat him with kid gloves. There's no reason to rush him. And we've learned whenever they rush guys, they get themselves in trouble. So, yeah, look, you could say that he's on that track, but even if he's not on that track, both things are kind of true at once. Trevor Arnold says, do you think Ali will be the skipper next year? I do. I absolutely do. And I think he actually earned it, even though a lot of people hate him. I get why people hate him, though. He brought that upon himself by being kind of pompous in press conferences. But look, I don't think Ali's as bad of a manager as others make him out to be. I think he's as bad of a manager as everybody else is. And it's funny, like, one of the names that people are clamoring for is Skip Schumacher. And he was a lame duck manager in Florida and Miami or whatever. And they weren't particularly good, but they weren't a particularly good team. And it's interesting how that works out, right? He did a great job with an okay team last year, and the team got slightly worse and had to deal with some injuries, and they were dog shit this year. Last year's Cardinals team was dog shit. This team was barely better, a little bit better. Just had some veterans who ate some innings, which allowed the bullpen to kind of fit into pieces. And the Cardinals were above 500, and that's not great, but, you know, it could be worse. So, yeah, I do think he's back. I'm in the minority of thinking he deserves to be back, and that I don't really think any manager is going to make a difference with the Cardinals as the direction that they're headed in 2025. Oh shit. Connor says, and how about the Michael fucking McGreevy? He looks like a perennial 200 IP, 3.25 ERA guy. Yeah, I think both of those numbers are probably pretty aggressive, but yeah, he looks like a 180, 375 guy, which is super, super valuable. Once people start getting him, they'll get him. But yeah, okay, to Michael McGreevy, we raise our glass. He's outperformed anything I thought he would. GM Gersh says, "Oh, come on. What's your overall feel on Jimmy Crooks?" I said it earlier, but I think Jimmy Crooks and Leonardo Bernal are the two most underrated prospects in the organization. I think they're both incredibly talented and incredibly awesome. I think both, like Jimmy Crooks hits line drives. There's a little bit of like the Brendan Donovan line drive hitter in him with some really surprising pop, and he's a really good catcher. He gets a little funky on pitches low in the zone, both blocking and framing. But he's really good, and people love throwing to him, and he's a good guy, and he's a team leader, and all of that stuff. So I am pro Jimmy Crooks, and I mean it. I think in the minor leagues, there are a few prospects that are as underrated as Bernal and Crooks. Arnold says internet must have dropped again. I'm sorry. Eric Bishop says, man, I love these streams. I want to do a Kickstarter and upgrade his internet. I pay for charters like super internet, and I don't know what the hell's going on. I really don't. I'm sorry about that. It's the best internet that you can get in the city of St. Louis. A second Wi-Fi has gone down. Oh boy, never forget. GM Gurr says, I think it would be refreshing to not hear the word compete in the press conference tomorrow. Bloom built some great farms in Tampa Bay and Boston and cashed in on great trades. I think he's a perfect fit for St. Louis. I do. But I do think that, like, I don't mind hearing the word compete because I think they can still compete in 2025 and do things that they are talking about doing, moving on from veterans, etc. And I do think that if they talk about competing in 2026 or 2027, I do want to hear that. But it's all about the context in which the word compete is in. Like, just like with the Blues last year, right? The St. Louis Blues, Doug Armstrong got out there. He said, look, I think that we could be a third or fourth place team in the Central competing for a playoff spot. That's what I want this Cardinals team to do. That's where I want the Cardinals to be this year, with the chance to take a step the following year. Waiterate says, I think Clough was a RP velo boost, would be an excellent setup or middle relief guy. Some fringe SP potential there. Yeah, too. I agree. I do agree with that. You just never know with the setup guy of it all. You don't know if he could be a closer of it all. Of course, velo increase would be good. Dan Goki says, Mr. Gould confirms Mo and Ali are staying in place next year. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Nothing's wrong with that. Everybody needs to calm down about that. Give Heim a second to make the changes to the farm that need to be changed so that when he takes over in 2026, they're his changes. Trevor Arnold says, what do you think is the true ceiling of Jordan Walker with another partial year of experience under his belt? You guys know me. I don't really do. And again, Trevor Arnold, I appreciate the questions. I don't really do the ceiling and floor, right? Because I believe that with every player's ceiling is the best at their position. I just do. Like, look at what we saw at Randy Arozarena. He was kind of a fourth outfield type with a corner ability to be a starter. And then COVID came and he did 200 sit-ups and push-ups or whatever every day and ate chicken and rice, and he became Randy Arozarena. You never know what these guys' ceiling is going to be. Jordan Walker could be the best right-handed hitter in baseball. It was never likely that was going to happen. It was just a matter of the likeliness that it could happen. He's going to be a really good hitter if given a chance to relax the fuck out. And that's what matters to me. I don't know what level of all-star or silver slugger or whatever, but he's the kind of guy who you can have on your roster to win a championship, and that's what I know. Jordan Hilton says, where's Skip Schumacher going? We were talking about this in the pad chat last week, and one of the things that I thought is All right, so this is the last time. The next time I drop, I'm out. Again, I want to apologize once again to everybody for this. I feel fucking terrible about it. I don't know what the hell is going on. I'm trying to mess around with Charter to get it fixed, and it's not working. I've never had this problem before, and it is frustrating as a motherfucker. So again, the next time we drop, that'll be the end of Prospects After Dark. Real fast, in case I don't get a chance to say it, to everybody who came into Prospects After Dark and had the great questions and the great thoughts tonight, I raise my glass. You guys all rock. Thank you so much. And again, I cannot apologize enough for the stream dropping out a couple times tonight. Anyways, we were talking about the Skip Schumacher and where he might go. And I thought maybe a team like the National, one of those teams that's kind of on the cusp, that does spend money. Maybe find a team that ownership doesn't meddle in so much. I hope he goes to a spot that's good for him, not a place like the Reds or Pittsburgh. Waiter, it says hitting coaches on average last like 2 years anyway. It probably wouldn't be unheard of to last only 162. Agreed. Trevor Arnold says Miles Michaelis talks a lot about checkbook baseball. Does he mean that he suckered a team into signing his checks? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. The Redbird Farmhand says they should keep Gibson around. It sounds like he really helped Palante, McGreevy, and Libby, especially with their bullpens. Yeah, look, I'm on board for that. He seems like a really good guy, too, and like being close to home. Nick Weisner says Astros and Goldschmidt scream a match. I completely agree. That's where I would like to see him land. Trevor Arnold says the stream was down. Yeah, the stream was down again. I don't know what's going on. Shelton Mysterio says Gibson coming back would be okay with me. I agree. Eric Bishop says shucks, because that was a great question. Redbird Farm said, and I agree. I'd keep Gibson around. Yeah, again, I guess as people keep bringing it up, I have no issue at all with Kyle Gibson coming back. I would like for them to not pick up his option and still find like a more amicable deal. But if you pick up his option, you do it. Even if it means eating a lot of his contract. Hey, I guess we're kind of back. Again, sorry, I don't know what the fuck is going on. God, I'm so mad. I want to strangle Spectrum is what I would like to do right now. Again, if we fall out one more time, I'll say goodbye. I'm going to work backwards. Connor says, do you think Reynel Rodriguez is going to be legit? No, I don't. I really don't. But we'll see. You know, I don't know what you mean by super legit. I don't think he's a front end starter. I think he could be a starter at the major leagues, but I think he's super far away from it all. But yeah, look, there's a reason why people were so excited about the Cardinals signing him. There's a reason why he got the bonus that he got. And yeah, it'd be really awesome to see. I just don't want to think about it now because he's still so far away and still so young. Trevor Arnold a little while ago said, how often do you do these? First time here. We used to do them all the time. Now they're very sparse. I would like to do them once a week moving forward, but I can't guarantee it because life is just too bullshit. Jordan Hilton says, and we're working down, working our way up. DeWitt 2 and his dad are ingrained in the MLB in St. Louis. Can DeWitt 3 match? Exactly. That's going to be the question, Jordan Hilton. Is he just some guy who likes to put diamonds on a stamp and put them on his Instagram, or is he more than that? Trevor Arnold says, I love Jimmy Crooks. Bought a signed card of his recently. Good. Look, that's a good card to have. How is Crooks' defense, arm, etc.? Look, I would say that his arm is just a kick below Leo Bernal's. I would say that he's had some inconsistencies down there. I think he calls a good game, but he's still developing, especially low in the zone, both blocking and framing. Cody says, no one is ready for the Victor Santos Cy Young and Nick Dunn MVP next year. Boy, I would love something like that. How funny would that be? Victor Santos takes a huge step forward, and Nick Dunn is the first person to win a batting title that isn't named Luis Arraez. You know? Pythagorean record this year is only like 5 better than 2023. Yeah, that's a good point. Alexis Bainbridge says, what do you think is Baez swing? What do I think of Baez's swing changes? Kid's still only like 21. Is this next year a huge year for prospect status? Yeah. You know, I am always going to be pro Joshua Baez. I like the kid a lot. I think he's a good kid. I think he's a smart baseball player. And I think he has got massive power and a lot of raw tools that he just hasn't really got into. We saw him start to take a step forward in Peoria this year and then fall back to struggling. So, spent a little time working on a swing, getting a swing change, ended up finding his way back to Palm Beach, was part of their run to the championship. And hopefully he can settle into some of these swing changes and rediscover some of that prospect status he has. But yeah, he's still super young and he's not worth giving up on. Matt Stromer says, thought Chase Davis was a slam dunk for the AFL. I agree, Matt. I know you said that a little while ago. Kyle Eden says, Gould just tweeted that Mo and Ali are both coming back next year. Everyone temper your expectation of actually trying to fix things. Again, I don't view, I'm in the minority. I don't view Ali as the issue. I don't necessarily view Mo as the issue, but I don't like, as long as Mo's in a bit of an advisor role, is there to be a sounding board for Heim, then I'm in as long as that's the role, regardless of what their title is. It's all about the actualization of what's coming on. Eric Bishop says, Gifts, can we get a Kickstarter together to get him fiber? How funny. Yeah, and that's really it. All right, so Jonathan Barrow a little while ago says, I still can't quit Max Rajic. Good control, decent fastball, and so much ability to spin that breaking pitch has me dreaming. Yeah, look, it'd be nice to see his fastball take on maybe a little different shape. And also find, sometimes his third pitch, his changeup can be good. It's not consistent enough, especially with the command. It's kind of a weird pitch metric wise too. But look, I would love for Max Rajic to take a step and be something worth talking about a little bit more in depth as next season progresses. Redbird Farmhand says, opinion on Lionel Sequeira. I like Lionel Sequeira. I don't know a ton about him. Direct your questions towards Kareem, because when you get to someone like that, he's young, he's got a big arm, he's got good command for his age, but the metrics of it all are still beyond me because I haven't spent a whole lot of time looking, and my last month and a half has been absolute fucking chaos. Yeah, so I like what I've seen and the little I've seen. Nick Weiser says Liberatore should finally get a whole season shot at starting. I'm on the opposite side of this. I want him to get used to being in the back end of the bullpen. But if they ended up doing it, I wouldn't be upset with it, even though I don't think his fastball is good enough for it. I think if he changes his fastball, if he can reshape and relearn that sinker or the heater, then I'm on board for it. But right now, I think he's best suited in the bullpen role. Waiterate said, I think he seriously deserves a real shot at starting now that he's using his best pitch more often instead of 9% of the time. 3% fastball guy. Yes. So no Max Scherzer for us. No Jordan Hilton. I don't think so. Sucks we couldn't see more of Graceffo this year. Again, I would have liked to have seen him at the end of the year in a bullpen role. Our good friend Zach Gifford says, sup, Kyle. Zach, I love you. I miss you so much. It's nice to text with you every once in a while. I like that you have connections now, co-working connections to a former Cardinal farmhand. To you, Zach. We love you, bud. Welcome to Prospects After. As soon as I get through these questions, Nick Weiser elaborates on Libby. If Libby can get ahead and not leave the heater up, he has a shot of being pretty good. But I think what Waiterade was saying again, it's not about fastball location. It's just that it doesn't have enough juice on it. As long as he's not throwing that pitch below 95, and then it becomes an interesting pitch. Otherwise, it's shit. Adam Roman says, what would your ideal offseason be? I don't know. My ideal offseason would be that they would continue to add and spend money and compete next year. But that we know that that's not necessarily going to be the case. I want them to dump Miles Michaelis for what that is, and then that's my ideal offseason. I'm happy. We'll figure it out from there. But honestly, I don't know what my ideal offseason is. I don't have much of a thought about it. I don't know what to think about what's going to happen. I like the idea of 2025 being a year for the kids, as long as the proper roster decisions are made about those kids. And I would like for the Cardinals, if they trade any of the veterans, to get exciting players close to the major leagues in return. This is legitimately crazy. I have no idea what the hell is going on, why it keeps bouncing me, and what else is going on. Butter says, how long does it take to fix a team development process program? Are there any examples of teams that we should look into and what to expect? I don't really know. I don't think it would take long if you had the right people and process and hardware in place. Brian Smith says, Mo said Heim will have input in the day-to-day in Gould's recent article. That was in addition to overseeing the player development system. Yeah, cool. Makes sense for me. I think that's a good step in the right direction. Zach Gifford says, my ideal offseason would have started like a month from now. Yeah, about a month ago, right? For me, absolutely. Cards Gift says, Bummer Reedaville. I agree, Gifts. I'm sorry about this. Not Midnight Star said, thoughts on Reynal Rodriguez? Boy, apparently Reynal Rodriguez is what everybody wants to say. I saw he was on the top of the top 50. He was on the top of the top 50 of the under 18 prospects list, prospect live list. Yeah, he's a big beast. He's a good pitcher. He's exciting. He's still 17 years old, so let's not get crazy until we start seeing him stateside. The returns have been good. The money spent was good. But let's not get crazy until we start seeing it stateside. That's always been, it's always been the rule. Like one of Kareem's guys, one of Kareem's dudes, right? We saw that when he got to Peoria, Darlin Saladin, when he got to Peoria, he was still striking guys out, but he was having trouble. And it's because it's tough, man. The lower levels of the minors are tough. And getting excited about stuff that happens at the DSL isn't always a good idea. Nick Weiser says, do you feel the front office wasted the Goldie Arenado? The Goldie and Nato era are more so. Those two didn't perform when it mattered. Two of the biggest fish in the MLB when acquired. Who wouldn't take a shot at that duo? I want to say this. I think both of these things are true, right? Like, you got probably the best year in 2022 that you possibly could have of Goldie and Arenado, and you probably didn't do enough to make your team a World Series contender. Now, Jose Quintana pitched as well as he possibly could in the playoffs, and that was a big get for them. But look, I don't view it as wasting those years. Think about all the good teams that have had good players and players as good as Goldie and Arenado that don't even make the playoffs. I mean, think of all the years that Joey Votto didn't make the playoffs with the Reds. Think of Shohei and Albert Pujols and Mike Trout. On and on down the list, you can find combos of good players that never made the playoffs with their team, never won a championship. And it's because making the playoffs is actually really fucking hard. It's hard to keep in mind, but making the playoffs is very, very hard. Even with expanding playoffs, it's easier now than it's ever been, but it's still hard. Winning a World Series is very hard. Going to an NLCS is hard. So I don't view it as wasting. It definitely wasn't optimized, and Goldie and Nato and Goldschmidt and Arenado in a lot of cases didn't help themselves. Think about it this year. They'd be in the playoffs if Goldie and Arenado hadn't been shit for the first 2 months of the season, two and a half months of the season. That's the difference. So, just keep that in mind. Like, we do this thing a lot of times where we want to place blame and we want to be like, oh, it was their fault and this fault and who's responsible. And the truth is, a lot of times baseball is just baseball, and it's the fucking worst because it's baseball, but that's why we love it. Jonathan Barra says, one thing that has made me less interested in baseball this year has been just how annoying stupid Cardinals fans can be. It's just, look, the thing about fandom is, and the reason the Cardinals fans can seem stupid and annoying is because that's the fandom that we're seeing. But that's the essence of fandom, to be overly emotional and overly reactive, pretty annoying about the thing, whether it be sports or baseball or something else that we are fans of. And then he finishes with, I feel so many are just out of touch and hate on anyone. Yeah, talking about some of the vitriol with Mo staying next year, including reporters like Hockman. Yeah, Hockman will hold a grudge, it seems like, with some of these guys, and that's a bummer. But let them get upset. They sound like a bunch of whiny brats. But yeah, it's a shame. It's ridiculous. Sheldon Mysterio says, think about the Angels. You're right. Jordan Hilton says, what couple of guys might lead the team in home runs next year? Well, I think that if Nolan Gorman's healthy and given a chance and has made some adjustments at the plate with his swing, you could still look at him. Alec Burleson, you could still look at him. I think Jordan, it might only be 21 home runs, but Jordan Walker could always be that guy if he takes a step. It could still be Nolan Arenado. Maybe Arenado sticks around and gets his shit together. Maybe Lars Nootbaar gets into that power. Maybe Lars Nootbaar will adjust his approach at the plate and get a little bit more aggressive and get to some of his power that he has, because we know that he has some real raw line drive power. So, those are just the names that come. Wilson Contreras, if he's healthy and around, those are probably the most prominent and reasonable names. Mike Trout's career is what I call wasted. Yeah, probably. That's fair. Hey, Graham, how are you? Nice to see you. Bright Hornet says Malcolm Nunez had one of the best DSL seasons ever, and look at how he turned out. Exactly. Chill. Let him get to the stateside. Get excited about him. Follow him. Nothing's wrong with that. But get stateside, and then we'll talk. Where would you put Walker next year if Goldie is not back? He stays in right field for me. Can he hack it in the outfield with better instruction, or should a move to first base be on the table? It shouldn't be on the table next year, maybe by the end of next year. But the last thing that kid needs is another position change. First base is harder than we give it credit for. Another position change is only going to make his life at both the plate and in the field harder. Steiner says, Kyle, you're wonderful. No, Steiner, you are. Waiterate says, the word fan is short for fanatic. You have to be a little insane. Absolutely. Eric Bishop says, Jonathan Barrow 100% of the time. The fan base made me not want to watch. I will say I understand that for sure. Graham says, did you touch on Gary LaRocque retiring? Look, to Gary LaRocque, I raise my glass. He did a lot of really good things, was way past his prime, probably should have quit years ago, was never going to get fired because he's one of the DeWitt's babies. But to Gary LaRocque, thank you for all you did, and au revoir. See, it's good to know the boss, man. Shelton Mysterio says, do you think Mason Wynn will end up being a 20 to 25 homer guy? At the beginning of the year, when Hockman wrote an article about Jordan Walker maybe being the Cardinals' next 2020 guy, I even said something like, I think there's a better chance it's Mason Wynn, 20 home runs, 20 stolen bases. I do think he can get there. I do think he can get to 20 home runs, 18, 20, maybe even 25. I just don't want him to change from where he's at right now. We saw him, he started swinging his own assessment, right? He's like, I'm going to start swinging harder so I can do more damage. And then at the end of the year, it might have been fatigue. It might have been trying to swing a little bit harder. We saw him struggle a little bit, right? It might have been that back issue creeping back up. Who knows? But I want him to just be him, whatever him is, and settle in that and feel comfortable, because I don't want him to be anything else than that, because he's a badass. And he's the best. To Mason Wynn, we raise our glass. The most exciting thing about the 2024 season is Mason Wynn. To Mason Wynn, for always being exciting and always kicking ass, we raise our glass. IB Butter says, what guy in the card system that hasn't made an ML debut gets you the hardest? Well, that's Quinn Matthews and Cooper Jerpy. Those are the two, right? And then probably Tink Hence, and then probably Chase Davis, and then probably JJ Weatherholt, and then Bernal and Crooks, in that order. And I mean, rock hard too, if I can say. I mean, rock fucking hard, like super hard, a hard 2.5 inches like I've never shown before. Eric Bishop says, would you leave Wynn at leadoff, or would you move him down? Is his ideal position at leadoff? Look, I don't like him leadoff. I love Brandon Donovan in the leadoff spot. There's never been a more ideal leadoff hitter for the Cardinals. Donovan compromised some of his on-base percentage to get to some power. We saw Donovan struggle with high heat outside. The stupid broadcast, fucking those morons on the broadcast kept talking about inside. He struggled with it a little bit, but the issue is high heat outside that really got the better of him, and it's because he made swing changes to get to more power. So for me, like, I love that, but I would not be opposed to, like, I like Nootbaar at 2, but if what I would like is Nootbaar and Wynn to like switch 2 and 5. Ideally, is what I would like. Depending on the roster, depending on how the roster is constructed, that all plays into it, depending on who's here and who's not. But, I like Lars second against righties. I like Wynn second against lefties. And I like figuring out from there. Nick Weisner says, do you think Mo is going out on a bad note with the fan base? Yeah, absolutely. Maybe for the casuals. Until recently, he was a phenomenal GM Pobo over his tenure, in my opinion. Cardinals Hall of Famer. I agree. And it's always funny to me because you hear a lot of really stupid fans say, oh, he just inherited what Luhnow did. He gets credit for what Luhnow did. And yeah, that's not true. Then he also gets credit for what Dan Kantrovitz did, what Randy Flores did. People are just haters, and they're angry that the Cardinals haven't been good for a while. And because of that, they say stupid, outlandish things that they feel are true but aren't true. And I get it. We all say stupid things when we're emotional. I said stupid thing yesterday when I was emotional, and I've regretted it ever since. We all say stupid things when we're emotional. So I do think he's going out at probably the worst possible case. But the truth is, most of the time, people in that position don't get to go out on a positive note, and that's just part of that job and that business. Midnight Star says, what do you see from a likely outcome for Thomas JC? Can he be a starter for a division winner? Look, if you are banking, you would say no, right? Because there aren't a whole lot of starters for division winners. Like, that's more rare than I think people realize. So it's easier to say no. But if he takes strides, like Alec Burleson takes strides with his swing and his approach, then yeah, he could be. We still see it with Alec Burleson. Burleson needs to continue to refine. When he gets super, super aggressive, good pitchers take advantage of him. The same thing goes for Thomas and JC. I think the two of them are a lot alike. I think even with the power. And it's just a matter of how aggressive they are outside of the zone and after pitches that they can get to kind of gauge what they're capable of being. And since both have only been around for a little bit, we don't really know if that's something that they can do consistently. Hopefully he can. I wouldn't bet against him. He's a tough kid and a smart kid, and he's a hard worker. Graham says, Carlson with a negative 1.3 BWAR. Did you ever see this coming for the kid? No, I did not. How could you? Steiner says, what do you make of Weatherholt's debut? Seems like every highlight I saw was him just hitting a single. Yeah, he's a hitter before he's a power hitter. He's a good hitter. Keep in mind, too, like, there really isn't a whole lot of reason to even try to hit for power in the Florida State League. If you start trying to hit for power, then you're in trouble. But look, there were extra bases in there. It's getting used to that league. You got to get used to that league. And also, because a lot of people have had a lot of advanced college hitters have had a ton of success in their first pro year, don't project that onto all advanced college hitters. It's not easy to hit in the Florida State League, and it's not easy to hit after you played a whole collegiate season. I was impressed with him every step along the way, and I will be until he shows me he's not. Let's let him get an off season. Let's let him get to Peoria or Springfield, and then we'll start deciding to be critical or not. Waiterade says, I like Newt leading off because of how hard he hunts for walks. But see, that's what I'll say is I don't want him hunting that hard for walks anymore. I think it hurts him offensively in the long run. I want to see him be just a little bit more aggressive. So, yeah, that's my thought about that. You said rather have him on base for good contact guys like Wynn and Donnie than Wynn smacking a double and the bat stay on his shoulders. And I get that thought process. I'm not trying to diminish that thought process. I think that there's merit to that. But I don't necessarily think it's best for Lars. Lars Nootbaar needs to adjust his approach, and we started to see it a little bit more this September, and him start to have a little bit more success being just a little bit more aggressive. Him being more aggressive is more important than him taking walks. IB Butter says, what shakes out for Michael Gersh? More than likely, Gersh is here for one more year, and then in the meantime finds himself another job somewhere. Cody says, my main concern is Mo making these trades when he's not going to be overseeing the process in the coming years. My hope too, and I understand that, Cody, and that's what we all should be concerned about, each and every one of us, but we don't know how it's going to go. We don't know how it's going to shake out. My guess is that he's going to be more of a liaison than anything else. But again, let's wait and see what the press conference says, and hopefully that's not the case. Cardinals fan 0213 says, would I be considered crazy to say I would rather see a young, energetic, terrible Cardinals team than this year's boring-ass team? No, I think that's how we all feel. Jordan Hilton said, does a closer step in if Helsley gets traded or a closer by committee? My guess is that it'll be a closer by committee with somebody getting a chance to kind of win it in spring. Honestly, Chris Roycroft seems like the guy that they'd be like, Chris Roycroft's our closer. And then, also give, depending on who's still around, a shot. Jonathan Barris says Lars had a top 25 expected weighted on base. We're probably talking on elite season with some better luck. Yeah, maybe not. Maybe we're investing a little bit too much in ex-Woba. You just never know. Ollie probably goes back to high leverage matchups like how he used Helsley in 2022. I think it's a safe bet. Waiterade. Graham says, haven't had a chance to watch any games. Has Michael McGreevy done anything to change the way you view him? Yeah, we talked about that a little bit earlier, Graham. Absolutely, yeah. Incorporating that cutter really changes it. And that's the big one. But also finding consistency on the corners of the strike zone and keeping the ball on the ground are huge things for him. Cody says, Newt has to swing more. I agree. Trevor Arnold says, I hope next year's Cardinals have more of a personality. So many are like Nolan Gorman who have never smiled in their lives. Yeah, I hate Nolan. Nolan Gorman, even when you're like in the press room, Nolan Gorman comes off like a saltine cracker. But yeah, he's got a big dick, and you can tell by the way that the women act around him, which makes me sad, but also good for him. God bless. Waiterate says, I do have a quote, never swing in my Twitter bio, but Lars has 55 raw power and really good contact skills. Yeah, Cody, I like to see Fernandez win it. Sure. Oh, yeah, Ryan Fernandez could be an option for sure. Midnight Star says, did you ever hear what the injury issue was with Travis Honeyman? No, I did not. It was really, really hard to get injury information out of anybody that you knew this year. Just look at Jerpy. I really don't know what's going on with Jerpy. With Roby, it was always he'll be back, don't worry. He's just fatigued, he'll be back. Didn't know if it was shoulder or elbow, he'll be back. And he came back, but it was at the end. So, yeah, I really don't know, man. They're more tight-lipped now than they've ever been with some of these injuries. Ivy Butter says, you look thirsty, have a nice sip, sir. To you guys, look, we're at the end of Prospects After Dark. It's been an hour and 40 minutes with like 6 or 7 stops and starts. I apologize to everybody for that. To all the people at PAD who stuck around, who were just in here for a little bit, we're going to finish off our Golden Light. We're going to finish off our Crown Royal. And that's it. That is the end of season Prospects After Dark on September 29th, a Sunday, 2024. Again, thank you, everybody, for sticking around. If you watch this, you are part of the resistance. For everybody at Birds on the Black, everybody at Prospects After Dark, for my wonderful girlfriend, Ashley, my brother, Scott, Mike, Jim, Old Man Reese, Old Woman Reese, for the incredible Cardinals gifts, who I would not do this if he was not taking part in. I have a little drizzle in here. I'm going to raise this to you guys. I love you all. Again, we're going to try to do this a little bit more frequently in the off season. It's always easier for me to do this in the off season. But if not, it's been a pleasure, and hopefully we can get around to it sometime. Cheers. All right, for everybody at Birds on the Black, everybody at Prospects After Dark, you guys were a treat. Thank you again for everything. And hey, look, we're going to have to talk about that press conference tomorrow. I'll leave everybody with just this. This is an exciting time for the Cardinals. Try to stay open-minded, and let's see what happens. And again, to the resistance, thank you. And as always, happy hunting. Come meet me at the Mutual. Alan and Daniel will talk about the Cardinals all night. Thank you for joining Meet Me at Mutual. Daniel Shoptaw has been underneath the table the whole time.